What if I told you that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the GOAT and not Tom Brady in the near future? Well, let's dive into it. I have 5 points that I like to talk about, and it's really interesting, so let's get into it. All right, for my very first point, we're going to talk about peak performance and longevity. So, with Tom Brady, we all know that he's played for well over 2 decades. He recently retired, but he's still considered the GOAT because of his total touchdowns, his total passing yardage, and just so many stats that we could name off of that he has records in, and he still holds them. So that gives him a leg up on Mahomes right now. And you can't deny that Tom Brady was probably the best at studying every game better than probably any player that we've known. He was so good at breaking down defenses, understanding his team, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are. He was really good at focusing on what you could do in a game that you're playing against your opponent. And that was really impressive. Now with Patrick Mahomes, you could argue, and it's really interesting, and I'm going to show these statistics in a little bit, but he is able to almost beat Tom Brady in almost every category if you compare the amount of time that both of them started their career with. Now, that's the best way we can compare both right now, but Patrick Mahomes, he's very similar to Tom Brady. He understands how to prepare. He understands their opponents. Now, I wouldn't say that he is the best at preparation, at least of what I've been able to see so far. Obviously, he's really good at it, but Tom Brady is the definition of preparation and really dominating teams because he understands the game better than anyone else. Okay, point number 2. We're going to talk about playoff success. Now, with playoff success, it's well known. Brady's won 7 Super Bowls. He's won more playoff games than any other player in the NFL. But Patrick Mahomes is really good as well. He's won every single conference championship game that he's ever played in. That's pretty impressive. So he has an undefeated record once he gets to that point, making it to the Super Bowl. Now, both have lost in the Super Bowl, and in particular, Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl when he was playing with the Bucs. But even though Patrick Mahomes does not have the success numbers yet, he could surpass or at least replicate what Tom Brady has done with his career. Mahomes has already won 3 Super Bowls. This is something that is super impressive for his age. It's right on par with Tom Brady's record when he started. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. How is Mahomes going to play out in the longevity of things? He's already said that if his kids grow up and he feels like it's time to retire, he's going to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how long Patrick Mahomes truly plays for and how well he can keep up his performance when he gets older. Right, here is the Excel sheet I created for the playoff stats with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Now, as you can see, I got them color-coded. Green means that they're ahead of the other quarterback. Red means they're behind. So, of course, Tom Brady is way ahead of Patrick Mahomes in most of these categories simply because he's played 48 games. Patrick Mahomes has only played 17. What's interesting is with completion percentage, you can see Patrick Mahomes is up by basically 5%. Now, I know he hasn't even played half of the games that Tom Brady has played, so it'll be interesting to see where he's at if he ever gets to the same level as Tom Brady. But I do think that's interesting. Also, passer rating, same thing. Patrick Mahomes has a significant number higher than Tom Brady, but of course, there's playoff games that you do really well in, and there's some where you barely win. So, makes sense. What is interesting, though, is rushing touchdowns. Tom Brady has 7, and Patrick Mahomes only has 5. I would have thought that Patrick Mahomes would have already surpassed Tom Brady in that category, but apparently he has not.
So there's the playoff stats, and we'll get into the other stats later on in the video.
Point number 3, we're going to talk about playing styles. Now, it's no secret that Patrick Mahomes probably has more raw talent than Tom Brady did when he started. Now, the difference between the two is Tom Brady, his work ethic was beyond anyone that we've seen in the past. He was a nobody when he first joined the Patriots when he was a rookie, and no one thought he would be good. But he proved the doubters wrong and showed that it's not necessarily that you need a ton of natural talent, but it's your work ethic and how you prepare. Now, I am a Patriots fan, a huge Tom Brady fan, obviously. And this is something that I loved watching, was no matter what happened in the game, you knew Tom Brady could make a comeback. And that is something that you cannot teach quarterbacks. That is something that you have to develop and just kind of have that type of character. And that was something that was so cool to see Tom Brady do, is when you think, oh man, can they come back with this short of a time frame, or are they going to be able to make up for all these points that they're behind on? Tom Brady was always able to come back and win those important games. And I'll never forget some of those dominant performances at the very end. It was almost always, you did not doubt that Tom Brady could win that game still. And that was something that was really special. Now with Patrick Mahomes, he's got all the talent in the world. He's probably the most talented NFL player that we've seen in a long time. And he's been able to hone that in and really be the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Now, let's talk about his performance, how he plays, his playing style. And what is really special about Mahomes is he can extend plays. He knows what he needs to do. He's mobile enough where he can create some magical plays that we've never seen before. Now, watching Patrick Mahomes, this is something that is super cool to watch. I still remember when he was playing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, when Tom Brady was playing for the Bucs, that he was falling down and threw the ball almost sideways, almost hitting the ground, and perfectly put it in the hands of Tyreek Hill. And obviously, they didn't win that game, and Tyreek Hill dropped that pass. But I was so impressed on how hard Patrick Mahomes was trying to do everything that he can to win that game. And that was really impressive. We've seen him with the no-look passes. We've seen him do some pretty cool things that we've never seen before in the game of football. And that's what makes him super special. Another point to make with Patrick Mahomes and his playing style is that he's special in the way that he is a really good pocket passer. Now, when you ask people, they might not say that Mahomes is a true pocket passer, but when you really think about it, he really is, and he's very similar to what Tom Brady could do in the pocket. Now, the difference between the two is Mahomes is really good at extending those plays like we talked about earlier. Now, this is something that a lot of pocket passers really struggle with. I mean, we've seen Tom Brady. He cannot run very well. He's pretty slow. But he was able to get things done when he needed to. With Mahomes, if there's nothing there, usually he can come up with something either by himself or with a teammate like Travis Kelce or his wide receivers. Now, this is something really special about Patrick Mahomes, is he can be very dynamic in the pocket and be creative when he needs to be. Okay, point number 4. We're going to talk about the impact that both these players have played in the NFL. Now, Tom Brady, he created the Patriot way when he was playing with the Patriots. Now, I've heard reports that they have recently changed some of those things in their locker room and some of those quotes and all that stuff because of Bill Belichick leaving. But when he was playing there, that was the thing. We all knew about it. It was something special. There was something different about the Patriots. They were all about business. And that's what Tom Brady really showed, is the discipline, the mental toughness, and the hard work ethic to really make that team special almost every year. Now, they didn't win the Super Bowl every year, but they almost made the playoffs. I think there's maybe one season when Tom Brady tore his ACL where they didn't make the playoffs. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments if I am. But he was someone that was a true leader for his teammates. And he kept them accountable for when they messed up, and he kept himself accountable. He was a team player, and I think that's something that even today a lot of people haven't learned. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you can't be greedy. And we saw that a lot with Tom Brady's. We all knew he was the GOAT. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And he never was, at least of what I can remember, the highest paying quarterback in the NFL. He understood, and he's talked about this before, that he couldn't win Super Bowls by himself. He needed good players around him. And so he sacrificed maybe being the highest player being paid so he could bring in better talent around him, because he understood that Super Bowls and winning was more important than just getting paid the most. And we see that a lot in the NFL still today. It's always, I want to be the highest paying player. How can I one up this other person? And we've seen that Patrick Mahomes had a pretty good deal with his $500 million contract. Now, I know they recently updated that with him with all the recent quarterback contracts that have been made, but he's still not the highest paid quarterback. And I have seen reports where Patrick Mahomes has talked about this, where he learned from Tom Brady that was something important. If you want to win, you got to make sacrifices. You got to be a leader. And sometimes that requires not being greedy and not taking the biggest contract that you could have. It also protects you health-wise. So those are some things that are really admirable about Tom Brady and what he did for the game. And you could also say with Patrick Mahomes, I think it's really smart of him to take what Tom Brady did and make it his own. He's really redefined the quarterback position. Tom Brady showed you could be a pocket passer, and that's kind of the stereotypical throw the ball, find the guy that's open, and protect yourself in the pocket. Now with Patrick Mahomes, there's been a lot of athletic quarterbacks. Michael Vick had a lot of success being an athletic quarterback where he was running around, throwing the ball. But we haven't really seen a lot of players that really define that that's something that a quarterback really can do and be the best in the game. Patrick Mahomes has changed that. He's shown that you can be mobile. You can run around. You can be creative. And this is why it'll be interesting to see what Caleb Williams does, because of what I can remember, Patrick Mahomes is really the only quarterback that has proven that you can be dominant in being creative, mobile, and also being a really good pocket passer when you need to be. And I think that is really important for the future, is setting those standards and understanding you can change the game, you can redefine it, but don't forget the basics. And I think we've seen that with Patrick Mahomes, and that's one of the reasons why I think he could surpass Tom Brady. If you guys have liked this video so far, please like and subscribe this video. Let's build a community of football lovers. I would love to build something in the near future where we can do lives and talk about football all day long. Nothing but that. So please comment down below. Let me know what you think. If Tom Brady has already been beaten by Patrick Mahomes, or is Tom Brady still the GOAT? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now let's get back to my point number 5.
Here's the rest of the statistics that I talked about earlier in the video. So what's really interesting is if we look at the total career regular season, the green means that they're ahead of the other opponent, kind of what we already talked about, vice versa with the red. So what's interesting here is, again, Patrick Mahomes has a higher completion percentage. And QB wins, obviously Tom Brady has a lot more just because he's played more games. But what is really interesting is that Patrick Mahomes has already passed Tom Brady so far with yards per attempt, yards per game, passer rating, rushing attempts, rush yards, rushing touchdowns. Now, the rushing part, we all know Tom Brady is not fast. So, of course, Patrick Mahomes should be already ahead of him in those categories. But it'll be interesting to see what these statistics look like later on in Patrick Mahomes' career. But it is really interesting that he has already surpassed him in quite a few of those categories, even though he hasn't even played half of what Tom Brady has played in the NFL. Now, with the first 7 years, if we're just comparing the two since they started, their first 7 years that was completed in the NFL, this is really interesting. And as you can see, Patrick Mahomes has passed Tom Brady in every category, which is pretty insane. So far, Patrick Mahomes has a leading edge on Tom Brady. So if he keeps going down that same trajectory, he definitely could surpass Tom Brady in all the other categories when he finishes his career. Now, we don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to play as long as Tom Brady. He has said that he doesn't really want to play as long as Tom Brady did because of his kids and all that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think it's fascinating that Patrick Mahomes has beat Tom Brady by some pretty significant numbers in some of these categories. For example, the passing yards, he's already around 7,000 passing yards more, touchdowns, interceptions, significantly different. So it is really cool to see how amazing Patrick Mahomes is, and he can definitely be top tier and be the GOAT of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Point number 5, we're going to give the verdict. Who is truly the GOAT of football, at least with the quarterback position? I'm going to say it's still Tom Brady. Now, you could say I'm a little biased because I was a Tom Brady fan and in particular a Patriots fan as well. But I truly think that he is the GOAT as of right now, simply because he's won more Super Bowls, and also he beat Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. And even Patrick Mahomes has cited that it's hard to argue that point, who's the GOAT, when he's lost to him in a Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens in the near future. I still think, though, Patrick Mahomes has a really good chance of beating Tom Brady with Super Bowl wins. He's on a trajectory that is like no other. Last time we've seen that was with Tom Brady. So it'll be really interesting to see what they can do. Tom Brady had a drought for quite a while after his first 3 Super Bowls. It took him years before he was able to win his 4th one. So will that be the same with Patrick Mahomes, or will it be different? Now, I'd like to just give out a couple other things about these two before we end. Tom Brady was an amazing leader. He had the clutch gene. He was able to do things that most people didn't expect him to do at the very beginning. But he's been able to win games no matter what. He's proven that time and time again. Now with Patrick Mahomes, he's a great leader as well. And his competitive nature is something that is unmatched. It's very similar to Tom Brady's. He's very competitive. He can be cool under pressure. And he's never worried about losing. He's always worried about what can I do to win that game. And I think both have those characteristics that gives them the reason why both are in this conversation for the GOAT for QBs. Now, with Patrick Mahomes, he's proven quite a lot, but we're going to have to see in the near future if he truly can surpass Tom Brady. Now, let me know in the comments below, who do you think is the GOAT right now, or who will be the GOAT? And let me know what you'd like me to talk about next time. Now, if you like this content and like this video, check out my other video that's up in the corner about, is Caleb Williams going to be a boom or bust, and will the Bears be able to make it to the playoffs and be contenders or pretenders?